Good evening, good evening, good evening. Or just change that to whatever time of day it is, depending on when you listen to this. This is me, myself, and I. I am Matt Wright, a.k.a. a Beardo, and I'm joined by... What's your name?
Joe Giddings, who is the weirdo in this relationship.
He's the little spoon and I'm the big spoon, and we're
yeah.
here to talk about the Jurassic franchise in all its glory. Obviously, everyone knows how fantastic these films are, but before we get on to that, we just want to talk about a little bit of film news that's been going on.
Not much. There's not been much film news this week at all.
There's been very little. This segment is going to be about 15 seconds long, but
Yep.
we want to talk a little bit about The Magnificent Seven and its upcoming release.
Yeah? What do you think?
I think it looks pretty cool. They've got a good casting. I think. I mean, you can't go wrong with Mr. DW Denzel Washington. He's one of the coolest man on the planet.
Yep,
just
he'll lead
behind
it well.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep.
You've got Chris Pratt, the hottest property in Hollywood potentially,
At
or
the
up and
moment.
coming. In the, I mean, they've talked about him maybe being the new Indiana Jones and stuff if that ever happens. And I think he could pull that off. You've also got Ethan Hawke, who was obviously in Training Day with Denzel Washington. So we all know what performer he is. And who else is in that film? Vincent D'Onofrio, I think.
Yep.
Who played Goma Pyle or whatever his name is in Full Metal Jacket. He was recently in Jurassic World as the crazy man who tried to train the raptors and then got eaten by them quite hilariously.
And Wilson Fisk in Daredevil.
She's insane. How terrifying is he?
Yeah, he's good.
Daredevil. We could actually talk about Daredevil at some point now.
We could.
We could do.
But
Magnificent Seven first, or have you actually seen
I haven't
Daredevil?
finished the second season of Daredevil,
We
so...
could talk first season Daredevil, or just up what you've seen of season 2. Before that, we'll just say this film looks pretty cool. I mean, I feel like the Western style is probably getting a little bit of a rebirth. You're seeing it in stuff like, I know Django was sort of a Western, and then obviously The Hateful Eight, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's coming back round again. And obviously there's a lot of great films to remake, so this is probably something we're going to be seeing quite a lot of. But do you know who's directing it? I can't remember. Who is it?
It is directed by Antoine Fuqua.
I think he is actually the guy who directed Training Day.
Oh, really?
I might be making that up, but I'm 85 to 60% sure.
And yeah, you're right. Best known for his
Whoa.
2001 Academy Award-winning film, Training Day.
I am unstoppable, but
You
yeah,
are an unstoppable base of knowledge.
useless information. But I mean, it looks pretty good. When's the release date on that? It's fairly soon now, isn't it?
September the 8th.
So this film will actually be out before the podcast is released. Oh, we've entered a time warp here.
Oh, no.
You
We
might
might
not-
even do an episode on it.
You might not be born now. We've broken the space-time continuum. But yeah, I think it looks decent. We'll check it out, and we'll probably will review it at some point, I imagine.
Yeah. And it's an existing franchise already. Well, if I say franchise, there was a film of the same name that is quite famous.
Oh yeah.
And they're just sort of, yeah.
So like 50s, 60s or something.
60s. It's a 60 Western film, so back in the era. But it should be good. It does look good. The trailers look good. Good cast.
Decent action.
Yeah. It's going to be another action
It's going
film.
to be cool. But
Another action Western film.
I'll tell you what I'm not that hyped for.
Go on.
That's the motherfucking Jumanji sequel.
Jumanji.
Who was calling for that?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who is the most highest paid actor in the world at the moment, I think.
Really?
Yep.
I guess it's probably because they make like 3 Fast and Furious films a year. Isn't it? It's probably-
Yeah. And also, he just doesn't turn down roles.
The Rock will appear in literally everything. I think, I must admit, he was pretty good in The Tooth Fairy. I think he managed to show what he was capable of. And I mean, San Andreas, that's just like the day after tomorrow. Today.
Oh, yeah. And Karen Gilligan, she's been announced for
She in,
Jumanji as well.
Was she Guardians of the Galaxy as the blue-headed woman?
Yep. She's also in Doctor Who,
Oh, the gingerbird.
the ginger one. Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, say what you want about the Rock, a.k.a. Dwayne Johnson. He's got an undoubtable charisma. He's not just a lump of meat, a bit like Schwarzenegger was. I mean, Schwarzenegger's got his own charisma, but he was just part of it is because he was such a robot
Yeah.
in the way he delivered things. But like Dwayne can actually act a bit.
The only problem with this I have is that the original Jumanji film was amazing. Because it was in our childhoods, and one of the things that made it amazing was Robin Williams.
The main thing.
The main thing that made it really good, who obviously isn't with us anymore, but it's going to be hard to bring that factor to this film.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Robin Williams is, although he's best known as, we'll go into a bit of Robbie right now, why not? Or Robin rather. The thing that he's best known for, obviously, is being like a sort of silly comedian, very much like physical over the top comedy. But he was actually capable of like very like nuanced, dramatic performances where he could portray quite a lot of different emotions. And even in like Jumanji, there's quite a lot there because he was terrified of what had happened and he was scared.
Yeah.
And he had to overcome all that. And it's just, I don't think Dwayne could do that. And I'm going to call him Dwayne now. He's not The Rock. He's just, we're on first name terms and his name's Dwayne. And so many films are just perfect because of the time they're made and the people. It's like the perfect storm.
Yep.
It's the same with Ghostbusters. Like, you didn't need to remake that. It was perfect. Like, you're never going to get another Bill Murray performance like that.
To be fair, Jumanji hasn't stuck in my childhood enough for me to really care too much about it being remade. I feel like if they remade something like Back to the Future, I'd be pretty much against that because I feel like you're right on something like that.
You know that's coming, didn't you? It's coming.
No, because the guy that made it said that as long as he's alive, he will not allow anyone to remake it.
He's going to die in an unfortunate smelting accident.
He's going to die, and 1 week later, Back to the Future will be announced. But Jumanji's not held that much of my childhood that I'm bothered about it being remade.
I sort of see what you mean. There is a bit more room, I think. It's not one of these things that's absolutely treasured and like untouchable. That's true. But it's definitely, I just feel like they could maybe come up with something different. Because, I mean, what's the story going to be? Like, the board game is found and new people...
It's a sequel, not a remake. So, I don't know, what can you do?
Find it on the beach.
Yeah, I mean, all they have to do is find the board and then initiate a game.
And then it starts all over again.
A bunch of wacky characters come into the real world. I
must admit, I did like Jonathan Pryce's character. What was his name? The hunter dude.
Yes,
because it was actually the same actor who played his dad, wasn't it?
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool how they used that. And what was his name? Van Pelt or something.
How do you know everything?
What do you mean? How do I know everything? Look, I didn't do very well at school, okay, but I can name you the hunter character in Jumanji.
I couldn't have told you the actor's name. I couldn't have told you the character's name.
I don't think it is Jonathan Pryce. Jonathan Hyde, sorry. Jonathan
Oh.
Pryce is the Sparrow from Game of Thrones.
How embarrassed are you?
You're so confident right there, but Jonathan Hyde is
he was
the guy in
good.
The Mummy who gets, he's like the Egyptologist.
Yeah.
I'm just showing off now, sorry.
Shut up.
But yeah, it's also in The Strain. Have you seen The Strain yet? That's
No.
pretty cool. You should watch that.
I should.
That's pretty good. Produced by Guillermo del Toro, is another one of my favourites. But I mean, we've done a little bit of Jumanji. We've protested it slightly. Do you want to talk a little bit about season 2 of Daredevil? Or I won't spoil it.
We'll leave Daredevil to another day. I think
we'll leave it.
We can leave Daredevil.
Can we talk a little bit about how cool the Punisher is?
Yeah, he's cool.
It's pretty awesome.
I've watched enough of the second season to see the Punisher bits.
Have you seen him going to prison yet?
Yeah.
And he has that crazy fight?
Not seen that bit yet.
Oh, right.
I know that he's gone to prison.
There's a crazy fucking
But
fight.
now I know he has a crazy fight.
It's up there with like season 1, you know, that crazy fight Daredevil has in the corridor.
Yeah.
It's literally as good as that.
Oh, really?
Better.
Yeah. That's good. Daredevil's good. I like that.
I do like John Bernthal, I think his name is, because he was in the first couple of series of Walking Dead, and he seems to be like really picking up a bit now.
In a lot of these sci-fi fantasy TV shows, and he just always seems to be a supporting role. He's not led anything yet. However, I reckon. I don't know if they've actually announced a Punisher series, but I think they could do a Punisher series.
We're
with him.
talking about it. I think he's very good. I mean, he's very gruffly in that, but I just like that scene where just the one scene where he goes into that pawn shop and he's selling that guy something, and then the guy mentions something about like child porn or something.
Yep.
And then you just see him lock the door and turn back with a bat, and you just know that he's just fucking murderized the guy.
Yeah. No, he played the Punisher really well, and it's been a hard character to bring to screen, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Did you ever see I think, was it 2004, I think, with Thomas Jane? Had John Travolta in it.
I think it's on Netflix.
It wasn't... I tried to rewatch it the other day, and I literally got like 5 minutes in, and I just couldn't do it. Like, it was just... I think, especially now, considering how many better portrayals there have been of like almost every comic book character, these early ones that were terrible are going to look even worse.
Yeah.
The only one I'd say from like 2000s maybe that hold up, X-Men. I think Blade's still pretty good. And what was the other one? The original Spider-Mans. I think they hold up quite well.
Yeah, Blade was good,
stuff is just
but Wesley Snipes is insane.
Have you heard about what he did on the set of Blade 3, where he insisted on being called Blade by everybody? And he would just leave notes all around the set where it'd say something, and then sign it Blade. Because you know that Patton Oswalt, I think his
Yeah,
name is.
yeah.
He's in it, and he was saying like because he was that Wesley Snipes, the tax dodger, was getting into arguments with the director. He appeared in like barely any scenes, so there's a lot of them. The reason Ryan Gosling is like taking the piss so much is because he's just like acting to a double,
Yeah.
just like the back of Wesley Snipes' head. But I think Ryan Gosling, that's where you just saw the first signs that he could be Deadpool probably, because he was really witty in that.
You mean Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds. Oh no, I'm falling
Oh
apart.
no, what's wrong?
I do have a weakness after all.
You killed it earlier, and now you're messing up basic actors.
That's because I'm still thinking about the nice guys and how funny he is.
Yeah.
I can't get over
I
it.
was thinking, right? When was Ryan Gosling in a Blade film?
And he was Deadpool.
Alternative universe, maybe.
Yeah, is any other newsy story bits you want to...
There is nothing else. Nothing else has happened.
Should we head into the... We're going in different ways.
That's so wrong.
We're going in different directions now. I thought it was just one note. It was just very links. I think that's how you do it. But
Then it goes. Dun, 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 dun,
oh no, yeah, I'm taking the piss.
Oh,
I was doing it in monotone land, but yeah,
okay.
it's pretty cool. I think we should start at the place that makes sense, and that's at the end, and then we'll work our way.
You mean start with
systematically.
the recent money grab? I mean, remake Jurassic World.
No, do you want to? Should we go backwards or should we go forwards?
We'll go forwards because we'll start with the best.
Yeah,
I think we can all agree that Jurassic Park the first time was the best.
Probably my top 10 films of all time, potentially, just for my pure love and joy that it brings me. Because
I think in a lot, yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy film, in terms of what it did, and the imagination.
I think it's about as old as us, though, isn't it? Didn't it come out like the year we were born, 93? Is that right?
It came out.
I might not have even been born.
1993.
Oh no, you were 92 though, weren't you? So,
92, yeah. So I was.
so you'd have seen it at the age of 3 months old.
I saw it, yeah, when I was about 8 months old. Yeah, it's great. I loved it. No,
It's just it's one of those films that just I don't know. It's
fact that
perfect. I think
the
really.
fact that it came out in 1993 and I still remember it from my childhood, it says a lot of a film that can be rewatched again and again 5 to 6 to 7 years later after it's been released. That doesn't happen anymore.
No, that's pretty. I mean, I'd say I've seen this film at least 10 times because it's on near enough every other weekend on ITV2, which is quite helpful. Thank you, ITV2. But I also, about 3 or 4 years ago, they re-released it in 3D in the cinemas, and I went and saw that because I just wanted to see it, and it was amazing still. Let's get out of the way. The CGI, although it looks slightly dated, when you have other films to compare it to and how films even 10 years later where the CGI is worse than this and the effects, it's just mind-blowing.
I see a lot of people use this film as a kind of, you shouldn't use CGI, you should use practical effects, but people forget that Jurassic Park actually used CGI because they think of like the Velociraptor scene where there's actually like people in
and a bit of the T-Rex as well.
Yeah,
there's quite a lot of T-Rex where it's just like the head and that.
Yeah, but people forget there is a lot of CGI in this film, but it's just done well enough that you don't notice.
Yeah, it's not glaring. I mean, what film did I watch? I know I'm going slightly off topic, but I watched Oz the Great and Powerful the other day.
Yeah,
and it looked so like fake. The whole thing. I know it was set in a CGI world, but like Avatar's the only film I've ever seen which was purely CGI and actually looked like photorealistic.
Yeah,
and that's it took 6 years, but this film's amazing. I mean, the story is based on the book by Michael Crichton or Crichton or whatever.
Crichton,
I've read that. It does vary quite a bit from the book. I mean, not so many of the main characters like die, but the story's
That's
great.
always a fun pub quiz question, that one. Who wrote the Jurassic Park novel?
Michael Crichton.
But yeah, I think it looks like Crichton. It might be Crichton though.
But we'll just go with whatever. But I mean, we don't need to go through the whole story, you know it. But just some like the iconic scenes and the performances. I mean, you've got Sam Neill as Alan Grant. He's just fantastic, very knowledgeable. Laura Dern, I can't remember the name of her character.
He sets the beginning of that film so well when he finds the claw and he's talking about
the claw.
What a raptor can do to you, and it's just because people didn't really know tons about dinosaurs before that, and he just essentially made the Velociraptor the most scariest dinosaur in the world ever. By talking about it ripping you apart. And he set that up so well that when it came to the later scene with the Velociraptors, you were scared. because you knew what they could do.
Yeah. It did create it made you understand a bit about his character and how he's not very good around kids as well, which obviously
No.
you figure out later on, and you get an introduction to John Hammond and how playful he is when he just appears in their little cabin and he's in his helicopter and he's just like popping the champagne.
Yeah.
And then obviously they go to the island and you see like people like Ian Malcolm, aka Jeff Goldblum, who's a pretty iconic character and comes out with some like funny lines, and he's like the cynic that ultimately ends up getting proven right.
Yeah. He says, I can't remember what the exact line is, but it's nature finds a way. That's it, and that's like a quoted line. Nature finds a way. Then that's just even now that gets quoted, and yeah, he's ultimately proven right.
Yeah, I mean everyone knows what happens in this story, but I guess the first truly iconic scene is when they first get taken out of the little complex where they're being shown what's going on, and they're driving along, and then they see the I think it's a Brachiosaurus, I'm going to guess, or maybe a Brontosaurus. I don't know exactly.
The big ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brachiosaurus, I believe.
And it's funny because like Laura Dern's character is like looking at this leaf and like she's fascinated by it because it's like an extinct leaf, and then he just grabs her head and just turns it. And there's an actual dinosaur there. That's pretty cool.
That is
and it looks good.
That scene where they pull up in the trucks and it looks around, that took a year to make.
Bloody hell.
4 minutes of dinosaurs, that took a year to make in CGI.
Holy shit!
As was the industry was just almost non-existent back then. Do you know who did the CGI?
Was it a man called Eric?
No, it was
Bogmanton.
I'm trying to find the exact name of them, but it was George Lucas's Illumination Lights, or ILM, I believe it's called.
Yeah, because in a lot of ways, what this film did probably must have broke quite a lot of ground.
Industrial Light and Magic.
Hey.
They did all these CGI effects, and that was founded by George Lucas.
And this film made a massive amount of money as well. I think for inflation, I think it's still one of the top 10 or 20 grossing films of all time. I'm pretty certain.
It made just over $1 billion
and this
worldwide.
is like 23 years ago.
No, it did make less than that. At one point, it was the highest grossing film in the world before Titanic.
Oh yeah.
And when it re-released 3D, as you said, you saw the other year, it just surpassed $1 billion in ticket sales, which is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. Especially, and there's not many films outside of like major franchises that make $1 billion.
No.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. One more scene I wanted to talk about in terms of like being iconic. When they're in the jeeps rather, and the water starts shaking.
Yes.
T-Rex is stomping along.
Again, there's so many reused in like popular comedy that of things like that. Of if anything heavy's coming towards you, it will pan to a glass of water and the ripples going through.
Yeah, apparently they did that by they somehow got like a guitar under the dashboard and someone strummed the strings and that made it have that ripple effect because that's the only way they could get it. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
that certain effect where it sort of went inwards. There's my fun fact for the day.
The design in this film is insane as well. The logo, just the logo of the T-Rex skeleton to a red background, and then that on a black background with Jurassic Park written under has been reproduced so many times, and it looks amazing. As well as the jeeps they drive around in, they look pretty fun. The whole island, even though it's got dinosaurs on it, does look like a tourist attraction. They've gone to that extra effort. When they walk into the doors to the main building and there's that massive T-Rex skeleton, that looks brilliant as well.
I like the scene where they're just they're first driving into the actual main like exhibit bit, and they've got to come to like those big doors. And I think it's Ian Malcolm's Jeff Goldblum's character that says something like, "What have they got in there? King Kong?"
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean it's an awesome film, man.
And then when they spend like the first whatever half a day of touring around and they just see absolutely nothing, and then I think essentially when they break down they finally see the T-Rex.
Yeah, it's not till it all goes wrong. That's quite funny. One person we're forgetting who also it's one of probably his first major film roles, Mr. Sam Jackson.
Yeah,
he was a bit late to the game, but yeah, he's funny in this, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good.
He's a cool character.
He's a very cool IT man in charge of all the park security. That eventually, I think the subplot is that I can't remember what the fat guy's called.
Something Nedry or something. His name is something.
Yeah,
Nedry.
He essentially wants to sell the DNA or eggs
The
of
embryos.
the embryos, of dinosaurs to another company, and he just turns off all the park security to go and do that, and ultimately comes to his doom from
His grisly demise from the spitty, fangy dinosaur.
that thing. Scared me.
Yeah.
That thing was scary.
That was freaky, wasn't it? Especially when it spits in his face and then just eats him.
Yeah,
Eats him up, the fatty bastard. Anything else to mention on this film?
there's so much. There's just every scene is insane. The Velociraptor scene in the kitchen is one of the most tense, genuinely scary parts of almost any film.
Yeah, it is good, I must admit. I mean, and that's a good blend of CGI as well and practical. They do a good job with that, I think.
The dinosaurs as well. The actual, when they're using practical dinosaurs, that was just the way that looks. I think there's 3 main ones. There's like the raptors, the T-Rex, and the
Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus when it
got the ship problems.
yeah, when it comes up and it like sneezes on them in the tree. That they all look amazing. They look as real as you can get. The T-Rex when it's attacking them in the car, even though it's literally just a giant T-Rex head just smashing down on this car, it looks real.
Yeah, it does look good. It does look good, I can confirm that. It looks fucking awesome.
The guy that dies on the toilet.
What, the lawyer?
The lawyer that dies on the toilet.
Oh, one of my favourite bits is when they're at dinner and everyone's like, they're saying, "Oh, it's amazing," but they're all starting to question it, and they ask him their opinions, and like everyone's sort of turning against him, and he just goes, "I bring all these experts out here, and the only one on my side's the blood-sucking lawyer." And the guy just looks at him and says, "Thank you, John."
That's Richard Attenborough as well.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah,
the man himself, the brother of our great David Attenborough.
He's pretty funny.
He is funny, and he pulls off that like kooky sort of eccentric, but sort of craze. It's a little bit crazed because he won't accept what's going on until it absolutely goes like proper fucking tits up.
Was there some sort of also subplot where he just needs to get it going? He needs to get it going because he's just spent so much money on it at some point.
Yeah, I think there is pressure as well. Definitely, there is pressure about it, but it's so good, isn't it? I mean,
it is just one of those films that is just together. It's just got it. There's no other way to say it. It's a perfect blend of like comedy, action.
There's a little bit of horror there as well, suspense,
horror
thrills.
And suspense, and
there's drama.
The audience is just wowed by dinosaurs. Yeah, they look good. And then after that film, dinosaurs just suddenly became popular again.
The thing is, as much as the dinosaurs are amazing, and they really are, and they do look great in the way they film the scenes, I think what makes it and just, I don't know, elevates it is just how good everything else is. Like, it's all well and good having good looking monsters, but if you haven't got characters you care about, an interesting plot going on and good dialogue, it'd all just be a bit like, it'd end up just being like Avatar, where you're just like, oh, that looks pretty.
Yeah, they could have made that Avatar mistake, but there's a good story. I mean, Steven Spielberg just wanted, even as a man who's made so many good films in his life, this is probably
top 5,
top 5 easily.
I mean,
absolutely easily.
Do you know he's worth about $4 billion or something apparently, at least, and he gets like something like 2 or 4% of every ticket they sell to Universal Studios just to get in. That just goes straight to him.
What I was just saying a minute ago, the whole point of them being on the island is that the investors insist that experts visit the park and certify it as safe.
Like a sponsor sort of, yeah.
So the people that are funding it basically say these experts need to visit and certify it being safe. And the second they get there, they're just all against it. What do you think of the little animation-y bits of like the DNA and when they dig to find the amber? And I just loved that.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. That in itself is quite iconic, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, there's just so much when she's going into the poo, looking for.
Jeff Goldblum just goes, "That's one big pile of shit." He's so good in this, and that bit where he's in the car just before that happens, and he's talking to I can't remember her name, but Laura Dern's character about like fate and stuff, and about how the drops will come off like the chaos theory or whatever. Now it might roll one way and then the other, and then it's like Alan Grant gets out of the car and it's like, yeah, no one could have predicted that would happen. And then she gets out after him, and then no one would have predicted that, and here I am in the car talking to myself.
He is funny in this film, but at the same time he's just so cynical about everything, isn't he?
Yeah.
The scene where Lena Dunham and the park ranger with the shotgun sent to go to turn the power back on, because it has to be done remotely, doesn't it? No, it can't be done remotely. It has to be done physically. That is also another very tense scene in the film.
Don't you just see like Samuel L. Jackson's hand falls on her or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just falls
You
on
don't
her.
even get to see him die.
Yeah. Oh, and then she gets chased by the raptors, and the park ranger essentially gets killed by the raptors. Muldoon. There you go. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like how he goes on about how clever the raptors are and that, and he just thinks he's just going to hunt them down with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And he'll put his hat down, and they're not going to lay a trap, even though he's talks about how clever they are.
Yeah.
Clever girl.
Oh yeah, that's another one. Another line just in the film. The film is too good.
Ends up getting eaten, but I mean, that's a pretty good place to end it. Do you want to move on to the sequel?
Before we do, just what do you think of the kids? Because I always make a point of kids in films. They're normally either good or bad. There's no two ways about it.
I think for the most part, these kids are pretty good.
They were good.
I mean, they're convincing. They play their roles well.
Yeah, the girl played the very sort of mid-teens character.
Yeah, that little bit of angst and that, and wanting to be cool or whatever. And then the boy is just obviously like the irritating little dweeby kid who wants to ask all the questions, but he does it as well.
Yeah, they're both. I think they're really, really good in this film.
Really, really good.
Really good.
Really, really. And now moving on. Da-da-da-da-da. The Lost World. Jurassic Park. Made in 1997.
So, The Lost World Jurassic Park follows the second film.
Is the second film.
Is the second film that follows the first film. That's how numbers work. But
two will always precede one.
No,
oh no, actually it'll go after it.
So after the first film, they all get away by helicopter. Well, they don't all get away, but the main characters get
Everybody
away.
who matters.
The ones that matter get away.
And for whatever reason, Sam Neill didn't want to be involved with this film, so they it obviously mainly follows Ian Malcolm. He's had his hair cut and he's not looking quite as cool. His daughter's in it and his girlfriend, and she's been convinced to go to the island by the old hamster man again because they want to reopen it. But this is still the first island, isn't it?
It's still the first island, I think.
And Vince Vaughn appears, and it turns out that there's loads of like soldiery people who want to collect dinosaurs as well.
What happens in this one is at the beginning, isn't it? Two very rich people go to the island, and the kid goes missing.
Yeah, I think she gets attacked or something. No, that's right. In this one, there's the scene where the little girl gets attacked by like the compy, whatever it's only a tiny little
Compsognathus, the little yappy dinosaurs.
That's definitely how you say it.
There's about 50,
Compsognathus.
There's about 50 of them, and they just eat her basically. But the parents who decided to vacation on the island, not knowing what it was, have a lawsuit against InGen, who is now headed by John Hammond's nephew, Peter Ludlow.
It's just a specky dude. 4 eyes.
Yeah.
And he's a bit weak, and he's got none of the charisma of his uncle, dad, whatever. And shit hits the fan, isn't it, basically? Vince Vaughn appears.
Yeah. So John Hammond's back in this film, and his whole thing is to stop the island ever being revisited again by anyone. Put a massive human ban on it. Don't let anyone near the island. Don't let anyone try to poach the dinosaurs. Just let the dinosaurs live. Just leave it as an island on its own. No one else visit it. And he convinces Jeff Goldblum's character to go.
But only after he's sent his girlfriend there.
But only after he sent his But his girlfriend wanted to go. She didn't need to be convinced.
Julianne Moore, playing a character whose name I can't remember.
Because most people would probably feel like, why would Jeff Goldblum go back? He was so against it in the first place. But it turns out his girlfriend's gone, so he's actually got a reason to go.
And then his daughter, who we didn't previously know about, smuggles her way onto the little, truck thing that they're...
And this is what I was saying about kids being good or bad in films. She sort of tries to play this, like, city kid who's tough.
But she does gymnastic kick a velociraptor out of a window, which is pretty insane.
It's so set up. I feel like the whole film you just mentioned, I do gymnastics.
Well, that was
at the beginning, and
that'll be a valuable point.
I know, and it seemed pretty forced. It seemed kind of, and at the end she does that insane flip through a window.
It's all crazy, isn't it? I mean, the thing is, I think there is a couple of iconic scenes in it, though. I mean, the one where the T-Rexes are like pushing the the trailer over the side of the mountain's pretty cool.
Yes. So they find a injured T-Rex that the hunters have laid out as bait to catch a real T-Rex. So they free it and they're trying to like
bind its
heal
leg
it.
or something.
Yeah, heal it so it can go. And but obviously the T-Rex actually shows up then and attacks their motorcade.
Two of them.
Oh,
Nearly
yeah,
pushed them off the
yeah.
end, didn't they? Yeah, because they appear either side. And that's a pretty cool action scene. It's got the tension, it's got the craziness.
Yep.
People nearly die, but they don't quite because Pete Postlethwaite and Postlethwaite and the rest of the soldiers come along and rescue him.
Yeah, and I think that scene's quite good when the truck's dangling over the side, and they're kind of having to climb vertically up it to get out, and it's tense because there's a glass bottom, and they're on the bottom of the glass.
Yeah,
aren't
I
they?
think she falls down to the bottom and it starts to crack.
Yeah,
and they have to sort of climb down to get her.
and the bag was it Lucky Bag? The guy's Lucky Bag.
That's the third film.
That's the
Lucky
third
Bag.
film, is it?
Yeah.
Oh
That's the
man,
parachute stuff. You're getting
I'm getting
messed up, boy.
one too far.
You're getting all sipped sideways, boy.
Yeah, so that scene is good when they're climbing up through the motorcade, and
I mean, that's when Eddie gets eaten as well, doesn't he? You know, the guy's trying to save him. He gets in the truck. That fat dude who's, I don't know what that actor's name is, but he gets his head eaten because he's trying to save him. But then that leads into the scene where they're sort of trekking along, and then that dude who's a bit of a dick goes off to wee on his own, and he tells the other guy, I'm just going for a piss. But the other guy's actually got headphones in and hasn't listened to him, and he ends up getting eaten by the little dinosaurs, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
Good
yeah.
moments.
The little dinosaurs make a second return, but they get caught at one point, don't they, by the mercenaries?
No, other dinosaurs do. I don't know if the little ones do, but yeah, other ones do.
No, they get rescued by like the mercenaries, and all their stuff's been destroyed, and they team up to reach the radio station.
Yeah, they team up. But yeah, the other scene that I find, there's actually two more iconic scenes.
Yep.
Before they leave the island, the one where the T-Rex attacks the camp.
Mm-hmm.
He just appears, and there's that like ominous shadow, and then she wants to scream, and he's like, "No, don't do it." And then it chases him, and it eats that big hippie guy when they're in the waterfall. That's pretty cool. Another guy gets stomped on, which is
that
pretty
hippie
iconic.
guy is a bit strange, isn't he? Because he's working for the InGen team.
And he's supposed to be
to
like their dinosaur expert or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he just gets eaten, which is quite poetic. And another good scene is when they're running through the long grass and all the velociraptors are like homing in on them and killing them. That's pretty cool.
I liked this scene where the dinosaurs are being hunted, and they're driving those buggies, and they're just trying to catch dinosaurs
lassoing them
running.
and that,
And they look pretty real.
That's pretty cool, man. There is some good stuff in it, but I mean, let's be honest, it's not.
We're missing the main bit.
What's that?
When they catch a T-Rex and bring it back to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come to.
Where did they bring it back to? Is it
The problem
San
is-
Diego?
The problem is with this film, I think when it's on the island, it's pretty good, but it seems to just basically it gets back to America or whatever, and it just seems to turn to like fucking King Kong or something. And there's just half an hour of like chasing a T-Rex through a city, and it all loses all like meaning to me, and just becomes a bit like, oh look, it's running around eating people in houses now instead of on an island.
Yeah.
It's quite a weak finish, I think.
The finish to it is weak. However, it's got a couple of decent scenes in it, like when the little girl's mummy. There's a.
And it eats the dog, doesn't it? I think
It's eating the dog. Yeah.
I mean it's cool, but I don't know. I feel like it's almost like
It's a bit try hard, isn't it? They tried a little bit too hard to
it's
make
like the
it.
bit on the island is like one film, and then this is like part of another film. That's what it seems, because it's just such a dramatic. And I mean, I don't understand how all the people on deck got eaten when the T-Rex was actually in the hold.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I don't know. And
Did it get out of the hold and then put itself back in?
It's sort of, yeah. They put it in the hold with the baby, and I'll be honest, this film hasn't stuck in my mind very much at all. Like, I can tell you little bits to it, but in terms of, I think it suffers again from the sequel. It's based on his second book, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
It's
I've
based on
read
The Lost
book, but
World.
It was so long ago, but I think it did vary quite a bit.
I'm
if I remember.
surprised. I'm surprised Steven Spielberg came back to it.
Yeah, it seems to have a very different sort of tone. It doesn't seem to have as much of like the fun element. It seems a lot more. I don't know. It was not dark.
It was missing something.
Yeah.
It was, and some of the elements felt like they just copied it again from the first film. You've got a team of experts again going back to an island to to essentially stop something happening this time, and you've got another kid who's gonna get wrapped up in it emotionally. They're worried about their parents, and
You've got Vince Vaughn just doing what Vince Vaughn does. He's okay, but he's the same in most of everything, near enough, isn't he? Sort of a bit witty and
he's
stuff.
He's kind of starting off back then, though, wasn't he?
I think that, this is one of his earlier roles.
Yeah, before he did all shit comedy films.
Comedy films.
Just the film didn't deliver on the first film, but I don't know how anyone could have expected it to deliver on the first film.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think it's a perfectly good film.
Yep.
I will watch it if it's on and I feel like it, but it doesn't give me that feeling of wondrous, just joy and happiness that the first one does. But not many films do, like you said.
I feel a little bit like it was just, here's some more dinosaurs. Just more dinosaurs, and look, another T-Rex.
Just cashing in, man. And I mean, we're talking about Spielberg. I mean, they made fucking Indiana Jones 4: Return of the Golden Zimmer Frame or whatever the fuck it was. I mean, I do think because he's at that point now where if he just shat in a bowl and called it pate, someone would eat it. That he probably finds it hard to say no. And I doubt he's got many people that say to him, "That's probably not a good idea, Stephen."
Yeah, but he's got a good track record.
Oh no, don't get me wrong.
Very rarely
he's
does he make a horrible film. And this isn't a horrible film at all. It's a good film, but it just doesn't deliver on the first film. They should have done something a bit more like they do in the later films with a new cast.
Yeah, just freshen up a bit and open it up. Because part of why Ian Malcolm's character is so good is because he's in the context of the other characters in the first film. When it's just him, he doesn't seem to be quite the same character in this one either. It's not. He is funny, but he's very much just like, all he just does is he basically just says to everybody, "Well, that's a bad idea.
Yeah,
that's a bad idea.
That's
a bad idea.
He must have made so much money.
Well, that's a bad idea.
He must have made so much money from this film. And
Yeah,
Steven Spielberg, they must have got paid so much to come back to it.
I think you might be right about that. But yeah, I mean, it's still like a solid sort of 7 out of 10.
Watch it. It's worth a watch, but don't expect Jurassic Park.
Because it's not. It's a lost world.
It's the lost world
of Jurassic Park.
Lost world Jurassic Park.
I mean,
I'd say this is the worst film of the franchise.
I think it's worse than number 3.
Yes. I think 3 tried harder to be something different, and even though it didn't deliver, it was different, and that's what I don't like about this. The Lost World, it wasn't different. It was a couple of returning characters, just go to an island and try to save dinosaurs.
So talking of number 3, shall we just? Might as well.
Yeah, we'll segue on.
What year was that? 2001, is that right?
So there was quite a big break.
I was like, no, it's like 4 years. It's the same gap as the first.
I'm looking at the Jurassic World on my phone. Jurassic Park.
So I don't even need the phone to
Jurassic
know that
Park
you're
3
wrong,
came out in 2001, 4 years after Jurassic Park.
Lost World. And it's obviously got the return of Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill. Laura Dern makes like a sort of cameo appearance briefly, but she's not a main character. You've got Kuno Becker playing his little mate Billy, his fellow paleontologist, archaeologist, whatever you call it.
Apprenticey guy. And he's the one with the lucky bag.
He's the one with the lucky bag. You've got William H. Macy playing his name's something Kirby, I think his name is. And then Tia Leone is his wife. And then some young guy as the kid. And this story is simple. The kid goes to the island with a mate, somehow gets stranded. I think this is the second island now. And then they trick.
So it's a kid and his stepdad go parasailing. They've paid this boat company to go parasailing way too close to the island, which now is banned. You can't go anywhere near it at all.
It's not allowed.
You can't go anywhere near the island at all. But they do go too close. And they look down at one point and just everyone's dead in the boat.
Yeah, it's not really explained what they were killed by.
Cause they just go through a fog and then everyone in the boat is dead.
And there's like a little bit of blood, but it's not really enough blood for like two people.
Yeah. And then they just sort of have to parasail into the island. And then that's the setup for the film, is that there's this kid that's gone missing, and the parents essentially
They just con Alan and Thingy into saying that they'll give him a load of funding because they claim to be billionaires, but in fact he's only got like some sort of fucking building business or something. So he's got some money, but not enough.
So that's the big twist. That they basically offer them a ton of money to just take them on a plane around the island, and they assure them that they've got all the permissions from the government, that they can do it because they're rich, and they believe them.
And they take some these dodgy they are mercenaries, but from what you see, they don't actually look like they're that sort of qualified. They don't seem to be that good at They don't seem like proper military.
They essentially
mercenaries.
just pay people with guns to escort them around the island,
and that goes terribly badly because I think like 3 of them are eaten within like 5 minutes of them landing.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, they're landing on the island, and Alan's freaking out, absolutely freaking out because he's just didn't sign up for any of it.
And I must admit, the thing is, sorry to just cut in on you, but they made quite a big deal of like in the marketing, from what I believe, because they slightly redesigned the logo to like make a big deal of like the Spinosaurus, being this new dinosaur that's bigger and more dangerous. And I thought that was pretty cool. But the thing is, they land. And within 30 seconds of landing, she starts shouting her mouth off, and then it just appears.
She gets straight on that megaphone. Yeah, there's no build up to it. There's no introduction to a new dinosaur or anything like that. It's just literally, she's on the megaphone shouting, and just a little.
It turns up and eats like 2 people straight away.
You could have done a little scene where the dinosaur expert, is it Alan? Yeah, he's just saying about, we've gone through InGen's research and we found an even bigger dinosaur than the T-Rex. They could have. It
wasn't on the original list.
They could have built it up a little bit more, and they could have done it later on in the film, not just straight at the beginning.
I must admit, I think this is a short film. It can't be more than 90 minutes, surely. It seems very, very brief to me. It's nothing like the length of the others, from what
I couldn't tell you what the running time was.
Well, we'll go ahead.
Damn you, Wikipedia.
We'll say it's about 90 minutes. It's not a particularly
long
film.
It's not a long film, and that's another reason I like it. It's not dragged out, really. There's no.
It's quite lean, isn't it?
It has some short fallings, and as I think most people put it in their bottom 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite. I guess that's the only thing about it, because it is so. It's pretty like full throttle. I guess it doesn't really slow down, because they get off the plane. One guy gets eaten. He's just wandering around, and they try and take off, and then they crash, and then another guy gets eaten. So that's 2 people out of the 3 people that get eaten already getting eaten. Because only like 3 people die in this film.
Yeah. And then after that, no one else really dies.
And the raptors appear, and there's quite a cool scene when they're in like the I don't know, like warehouse or whatever the fuck it is, where they're looking through the glass, and they're looking at like embryos or eggs or whatever.
Yep.
And then she looks, and it's like the raptor's head.
Yep.
And then she thinks it's in there, but it actually comes out. That's pretty cool.
It blinks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. There's so immediately.
I mean, the raptors in this still look pretty good as well.
Yeah, the raptors have pretty much held straight through the film. The scene where they get off the plane and she gets on the megaphone immediately, and then that dinosaur turns up. But then when they're running away from the Spinosaurus, they run into a T-Rex.
That fight's pretty cool, I think.
And the fight between the T-Rex and the Spinosaurus is pretty cool, and that doesn't look too bad. I don't look back and go. Good. You look at the graphics in 2001 films, to compare them to this film. It holds up.
Sure does, buddy. But yeah, I mean.
So they spend the whole kind of movie trying to look for this kid, don't they?
Yeah, and he does appear because there's a scene where they're actually getting chased by the raptors, and he throws some little grenades and he finds Alan. Then they get caught up, and then there's that bit where they're getting chased again because the phone's in the poo and it's ringing. They
find a raptor's nest, don't they?
Yeah, and Billy takes some eggs because he's silly Billy Willy.
He takes some eggs, but you don't find out till later in the film that he took some eggs, and that's why they're getting chased by raptors the whole film.
But the thing is, it is like massively given away, though. I know you're sort of supposed to know, but it's not really surprising because there's a bit where he disappears and he comes back and he's like tucking something into his bag, and Alan goes, "Where were you?" And it's just like, I don't know, doing a poo or something. And it's obvious that he wasn't, because last scene he was glaring at the raptor eggs, and then the next scene he's tucking his bag away. So that one's quite telegraphed, I think.
He's but the guy Grant knows that they're following them for a reason, because he's obviously this expert in velociraptors. So he sees them communicating and talking to each other. He's pretty good. What do you think of his little 3D printed raptor cool device?
I think that's an interesting concept, but that doesn't explain how he'd known anyway how to communicate with them.
Yeah,
At the end,
no,
he
it
basically
doesn't.
just
No,
says
it
to
just,
them, "Hello, we have eggs.
it's,
You take eggs," and the raptors just take them without killing them, which seems unlikely. I know we're skipping a bit here, but
Yeah, but kind of the raptor's egg nest happens quite early in the film.
no, but I'm talking about the very end where they're getting confronted by the raptors and then they're saved
Yeah,
and they have to give theirs back. But there's a bit where they go into like the pterodactyl pen. That's pretty cool.
that is one of the best bits of the film for me because that is scary. It's
Scary.
so scary. No, it's not that scary, but it's tense. It's a tense, suspenseful scene that when they're getting attacked by pterodactyls. Pterodactyls look good,
Yeah, they do.
even though it's heavily misty.
it's so misty.
Whenever I see a scene in a film where it's really misty and they're using CGI effects, I always just think they've just put the mist in just to save a bit of money, so don't need to make them look too real.
We can't see what's going on for all the mist.
But when they're trying to figure out what's going on, why are we in a giant cage? And then you just hear like dunk, dunk, dunk walking up their metal walkway, and then there's this giant pterodactyl just walking towards them. That's pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is, especially when it all kicks off and then Billy gets taken away and you're like, is he dead or is he alive? Turns out he's alive because not many people die in this film.
People can't die in this film, no.
Even though they're pecking the fuck out of him.
Yeah, he gets flown away by a pterodactyl, doesn't
And
he?
then he falls in the water and they're just
I was
pecking him over and
I was
over
surprised
and
when he was
over
still alive.
again. And he just reappears. But then after that, they, I think they get onto a barge or something and they're going down the river and then the Spinosaurus reappears. That's also another pretty cool scene where it attacks the boat and he's trying to ring Laura Dern's character and the little kid's on the phone. And like obviously he's screaming down the phone and that, and it's not till the very end that she gets it and she sends the people or whatever to save them. But it's like there's a big like explosion and flame, and the Spinosaurus is like, brah.
Yeah, he puts a
flare,
knife
innit?
onto the fuel in the boat, and it just sort of lets it, and then he climbs up a crane and puts a flare onto it, so the Spinosaurus is on fire, and that's how they kill the Spinosaurus.
Does it die?
I think it dies. It's on fire.
Does it just gets
been
hot
covered
and then
in-
cold again?
It's covered in like fuel,
Maybe it was just a little bit burnt.
but yeah,
But yeah, I mean, there's a cool scene, and then after
It's a good
that, I
scene.
think after
I
that,
like- I
pretty
do-
much is just the end, isn't
I
it?
do
really?
like the bit. One of my favourite bits is the funny bits in the film. Oh no, after that is when they hand the eggs back to the raptors.
Yeah, and then they just get rescued like 10 seconds later.
Yeah,
don't
so
they?
that raptor thing's just going on for absolutely ages, and then he hands them back and confuses the raptors by using a 3D printed raptor voice box, essentially, that makes a raptor noise, and they get confused and run away because apparently they're really smart, but they can be confused. Yeah,
with quite simple.
these
Raptor language,
predators
you can
that
turn
have
them off.
surrounded 4 defenseless humans are just confused by a raptor making a noise.
That's logical. I mean, there's not really a lot more you can say about this film. I think financially, I think it did decent money.
I think all the Jurassic Park films have made money.
It made good money. I mean, critically, I don't think it got the greatest
Yeah,
reviews, but
Budget of 90 million, and it made 370 million at
Wow.
the box office. So compared to the predecessors,
that's quite a drop off in it. But I think it must have just
I
been
think-
bad reviews and probably production at the time.
I feel the Lost World probably overperformed just based on how much.
I wonder if we got a hold of that. I'm sorry if we did. Maybe you didn't.
Matt just let out a fart. If you're wondering why we're just laughing. Anyway, the Lost World
It's very
Probably
childish. Please don't laugh.
overperformed on its box office just because how good the first film was. People were just probably going to see it just because it's the second Jurassic Park film.
Spielberg's name
And
carries a lot of weight
And
as well.
and it's directed
Even though
by
this, I believe this was produced by Mr. Spielberg, it was not directed.
I
him.
liked this film because it was different. He introduced 2 different dinosaurs, 2 new dinosaurs. The pterodactyls looked amazing. There was a lot of good scenes in it. I mean, it's a very just bones of a story, really, isn't it? It's just the skeleton of a
Bones.
It's just the skeleton of a story. There's not much to pad it out. It's a very straightforward.
There isn't any like real nuanced subplot, really, other than the husband and wife sort of getting back together. That's the only thing I can think of, really.
They don't take any dinosaurs back with them.
No, I think again, I think are they going away in a helicopter, and a dinosaur flies past them.
They're
Isn't that
going
what
away in a
happened in the first
helicopter,
film as
and
well?
there's a load of pterodactyls flying
Was that
next to
just
them.
The third one, I can't even remember.
I think it's just the third one. It's not the second one. The other, I like the other bit, and it was quite funny, is when they figure out where the phone is, because they're going down and they can hear the phone ringing, and they hear the phone ringing throughout the whole film. That's how they know the Spinosaurus is about to attack them. But you hear the phone ringing, and they're like, "Oh, where's the phone? oh, I gave it to one of the guys that just got eaten. And then they realise that this dinosaur's eating him and it's going off in his stomach.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Because they find it again in the shit, didn't they? Yeah.
They find it again in the poo as they're going past it on the barge. It's a good film. It is a good film, but it's got its problems.
Yeah, I'd say it's decent. I would watch it, but I wouldn't watch it a lot. And
I think
it's just more of like you can sort of. It doesn't require a great deal of concentration. It's just you could dip in and out of it quite easily, and you won't really miss anything of substance. But yeah, I mean it's perfectly decent, but probably my least favourite. Are you ready to move on to the 2015? What's his name? Colin Trevorrow directed.
I swear to God, if you're right on this one,
Jurassic World.
Directed by Colin Trevorrow.
Hey.
Jesus Christ.
I'm an animal. I don't have access to the internet. It's just all coming from my brain
directed
box.
a film called Safety Not Guaranteed. Have you seen that?
No, I've heard it. It's quite a funny one about this mad dude who just posted an advert about someone going into the future.
It's an indie film, and it's about a guy who literally just posted an advert saying, "Would you like to come to the future? I can take you to the future. Safety not guaranteed." And it's about a young journalist who goes to meet him.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's worth watching. But yeah, anyway, before that, he'd not really done much. He'd literally just done that one little indie film that did okay.
I think he's a bit like they seem to be doing that a bit more. I think it's similar to like I know it's a different sort of film, but Godzilla. They that was directed by Gareth Edwards, I think it was, and he'd only done like I think it was Monsters and Monsters Something Else, like a fairly low budget film, and they're giving like these massive films to these.
But they've been doing it in the Marvel films a lot as well now. Where Taika Waititi, he did.
Bless you.
We do it. He did What We Do in the Shadows.
Fantastic.
Which is a little New Zealand indie comedy film, which is fantastic.
We'll talk about that at some point.
We will. We'll do an episode on that. But it's just a cheap little film. And now he's doing Thor Ragnarok.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit. That's pretty cool.
No, sorry, no. He's either doing Thor Ragnarok or he's doing Black Panther. Anyway, he's doing a Marvel film.
Didn't the guy make Guardians of the Galaxy? Wasn't James Gunn? I think he hasn't done that much, from what I recall.
No, he sort of come out of nowhere. Yeah,
there's a lot of it going around, isn't there?
Yeah, Marvel, and also doesn't cost as much.
They probably have a little bit more control. But one of them that, I mean, I won't go into it massively, but Josh Trank, I think his name is. He made. What is it? What's that film called?
He did Fantastic Four.
But what's the good one he made?
He made
Chronicle. Was it
Chronicle? Yeah, Chronicle. Yeah, that was good.
Which was pretty good. And then
again,
he made
another
Fantastic Four.
That was an indie superhero film, wasn't it? It was good.
And then it went terribly wrong because that's supposed to be one of the worst films ever.
Fantastic Four's terrible.
Have you seen it? You actually watched it?
It's horrible. I went to see it just because
even use their powers.
Just because I love superhero films, I went to watch it, and I just wanted to, even though I knew it was terrible going in, I just wanted to see it. Doctor Doom looks horrible. He's got little beady eyes.
Little beady eyes.
And there's about 4 action scenes in the whole film.
It was trying to be a bit more edgy, wasn't it? I think, but like a sort of like a horror element to their.
Just had so much wrong with it, but we could do an episode on how bad that is again if you want.
If I feel like subjecting myself to something terrible,
yourself to it.
What we should do probably is just do an episode where we just pile in like maybe that and Batman vs Superman and a couple of others. And we'll just do we'll call it like the shit fest.
Horrible superhero films and what went wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to what we were talking about, which is directors who haven't had much before, but somehow hit it out of the ballpark. He kind of not hit it out of the ballpark, but this is a good film.
I mean, I've seen it twice. The first time I watched it, I thought it was decent, but I don't know. I had a lot of issues with it. But then I think a lot of the time these days, everyone's going on about, why do characters do this? Why do characters do that?
People look too far into certain films
sometimes. And they're like, this doesn't make sense. But then I watched it again. It's a bit like Star Wars. The first time I watched that, I was like, I wasn't sure about this. And the second time, when I wasn't thinking about it so much and was just enjoying the actual cinematic experience, which is what some films are. Some films aren't like these huge, like intellectual or whatever, like, this changed my life. Some of them are just like, this is fucking fun. And this is what this film is. It's fun. It's got fun characters in it. It's got fun scenes in it. I was actually surprised because for me, this is by far the bloodiest. There's actually a lot of blood in this. A lot of people die.
It's moved on. It is like I was saying about Jurassic Park 3 trying to move it on. This one successfully moved the franchise on because it is actually now a genuine tourist park. But before that, what do you think the budget was?
Was it something like $250? Nope.
£150 million.
It's not bad, really.
Dollars.
When you think about some of the shit they've made for 250 in that, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Fantastic Four was more than
Oh,
150. I
They
think,
put so much money into Fantastic Four.
and it all went to a good cause.
Box office.
What was it? 1.5.
1.7.
Jesus, was it second or third?
It's
highest
made
grossing-
more than the first Jurassic Park.
Is it second or third highest grossing film of all time, or is it top 5?
What is it? It's got to be top 5 with that amount of money.
We're talking about Avatar, and Avatar did 2 bill, didn't it? Avengers did what,
Could
1
do
and a
something
bit.
about how bad Avatar was.
Nah, I mean,
No.
this film's good. I mean, it's just fucking. One of the things I really like about it is how self-referential it is.
Fourth highest
What's it
grossing
behind?
film of all time. Probably Titanic.
It's Titanic. Did Titanic make that much?
Titanic was like the highest
highest
grossing
grossing
film
until, like,
for
Avatar, wasn't it?
years.
Near enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Titanic
crazy.
was the highest grossing film. Yeah, Titanic's still number 2. Star Wars: The Force Awakens
Is that number?
is number 3, and then Titanic, and then Avatar.
Oh wow, that's crazy, man. So like, other than one of those films, they've all been made in like the last 5-6 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's because I think maybe just more people are going to cinema and just
I think
audiences are growing.
more people going to
To
cinema.
the massive films, anyway.
And there's better films.
Well, the thing is, think about it this way: with something like Jurassic Park, when it came out, you had like 1 or 2 generations that know about it. Like 20 years later, you've got other people's kids and then their kid, like, if you know what I mean. So something like Star Wars that's like 40 years old, you've got like 4 or 5 generations of people instead of just one. Like when Star Wars came out, I imagine it mostly would have been like, I don't know, 17 to 35 age group. But now you've got them, and then you've got their kids that have got older, and that's why I think
Oh,
this film,
yeah,
the audience
yeah.
is just everybody will go and see Star
Yeah,
Wars, even
yeah.
if they don't like Star Wars.
Yeah,
That's
and
the point I'm making.
yeah.
But I digress. Would you like to do a quick plot summary for me, Joe? Are you capable?
So Jurassic Park is
World.
Jurassic World is now like a
Closer to your microphone, Joe. Just a little bit, not too much. That's right.
It's set 22 years after the first Jurassic Park film, and the island of Isla Nublar.
Is that the first island? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
No, it is. Yeah, because they find all the old stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a new place. It's called Jurassic World, and the company that runs it is the owner of InGen, who is this sort of the ones that have been trying to get the dinosaurs, and they create the dinosaurs. It's a genetics company.
Write the dinosaurs, play the dinosaurs, sing the dinosaurs.
And yeah, so they go, people go, and people die because of dinosaurs.
But attendance is dwindling.
Attendance
So
is-
Bryce Dallas Howard's character thinks we're going to make a super dinosaur, and then that what's his name? The original scientist. I think his name's Wu.
Yeah,
Has designed them.
he's from the first film.
Has designed him the super dinosaur. And
Um,
Chris Pratt's all like, "This is a bad idea, but I train raptors." And then Vincent D'Onofrio's like, "We don't need soldiers. We need raptor soldiers because they're not going to eat everybody." And then the dinosaur
think you
tricks
need
them
a-
into going
I
into their
think-
cage, and it's like, "Oh."
I think you need to slow down a little bit.
Oh, I think I could have done that.
So
Summarised it in
the
about
person
15
that
seconds.
runs the island is the aunt of these 2 brothers who we essentially follow for the whole film.
Yeah, it's a typical kid story, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, it's 2 kids. You know, they're brothers. They fight. One of them's well into girls, and the other one just wants to see some cool dinosaurs.
yeah.
And I think it says a lot about the island already that the kid's just not excited to go.
Yeah.
It's like, there's this island of dinosaurs, and it's like, and it's been there for years. Like, people just, it's existed, it's gone past its prime, and now it's sort of dwindling
Yeah.
a little bit.
And obviously, Bryce Dallas Howard's character, she's obviously so focused on her career and that, and it's an opportunity for her to have some character growth and some good plot points within this film for
So
her to be a bit
she's-
neglectful.
She's essentially just a workaholic. She's got no other half, no kids, nothing like that. She's married to her work. She doesn't care about anything else, really.
I mean, the first time she sees him, sorry to cut in, my man, but
Go on.
I feel like we're bouncing quite well. The first time she sees him, she actually says, "Oh, how long has it been since I've seen you?" Like 3 years, and they go like 7.
Yeah.
Just to show you an example of how far out of whack she is with like their reality, and they just don't seem that. I mean, the little one seems quite enthusiastic, but the other one's obviously a bit more. He knows that she's not that interested in him, so
Yeah.
it's a bit distant.
Yeah, and even she's not that interested in them at first,
'Cause
is
straight
she?
away, she like palms him off onto like one of her
Yeah,
assistants.
it's like,
doesn't
oh,
she?
this is my assistant, they'll take care of you, bye.
But whilst that going on, you get to see a bit about Chris Pratt.
Yep.
And how he's basically like this ex-military dude that they've got in, and for whatever reason, we're not actually. Are we told exactly why they're training raptors? Is it
just for military
display,
use,
or is it actually just for military use?
They're training raptors for military use, yeah.
Because he seems really surprised that Vincent D'Onofrio's character actually wants to use them for military stuff. Considering he's training them for military stuff, he's like.
But he's an ex-Navy veteran. He's not in the Navy anymore. But no, sorry, the security chief believes they should be trained for military use. He's just training raptors because he works at a dinosaur park. Why not just try to train some raptors?
I mean, and that's pretty cool. What happens after that? I think they start.
There's that cool scene where he's. And it's like, it was turned into a meme for a bit. And it was where he's standing there with his arms out and there's four velociraptors in front of him. And he's like, no, just to stop them killing this guy who's just gone in or fell in or something. Yeah.
One of the pigs got loose and he's trying to get it with a net.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he thought the net would be a really good idea when it's running around. And the pig like goes and the momentum of the pig pulling him along just flicks him in. Yeah. So how's that not happened before? And they don't have a better way of getting the pigs out the nets, because the velociraptor could easily just get a hold of that.
So straight away you get the sense of he's like, is he calling himself the alpha? He's just like, I'm the alpha of the velociraptors, and he's ranked them all, isn't he? One's like Charlie, and he's got
Delta, Blue.
They've got 4 names. I can't remember what the names of the raptors are.
Blue, Charlie, Delta, and another one. I think the other one's called Florence,
John,
or it might be Kathy.
It's John the Velociraptor.
Kathy the Velociraptor.
But there's 4 and they've got names, and straight away you're just like, oh cool. But then they say to Chris Pratt, oh come and look at this new thing we're doing.
Because what it is the owner guy comes in, doesn't he? The bloke who's actually like the current owner of InGen, or the one that's like the chairman, the CEO, or whatever. We find out they can fly a helicopter, which actually ties in a bit later on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they come and he wants to view the dinosaur, but obviously they can't see it. And you're starting to get hints of what they've put into it, because obviously it's a hybrid. They come up with the shitty name for it, and quite a lot of people actually mock that, which I found quite funny.
The Indominus Rex.
This film is so like self-referential in it. There's one of the guys in the control room, and he's wearing like the Jurassic Park t-shirt and that.
Yes.
And he's got the cup and stuff. He's like, you should not wear that. It's bad taste.
He's so
like,
cool.
I bought it on eBay.
This cost me like $1,000 on eBay.
He's really funny, and I'm just going to skip to this funny bit because it's so good. Like when everything's going wrong on that, and they've got to evacuate the island, it's him and that other woman that he's working with. And as she goes to leave, he goes to kiss her, and she's like, "No, I've got a boyfriend." It's just so good.
And which just takes the piss out of so many films though, because the amount of times that happens in films when they're like, "Let's kiss, we're gonna die." But,
it's actually quite a satire in a lot of ways.
It's good. And there's So after that, the Indominus Rex inevitably gets loose after finding out that it's a mix of T-Rex and
fish in it and lizard and a frog.
Yeah, an ultimate dinosaur essentially.
And it's, I mean, because it's quite interesting. I think that's a pretty cool scene. I mean, you know what's coming, but where he goes in now and they see the claw marks and they're like, oh, how tall is this? But it does make me think that their only security measures go from like, oh, we'll find out where it is. But before we actually check like the tracking thing on it, we're just going to go in there. Just for certain to make sure. Yeah. Because they weren't getting any heat signature, but it sure should have had its tracking thing in it.
But that's how it's got cloaking, hasn't it? It can cloak its body temperature, because the whole idea behind it was to make this massive scary thing to attract more people.
Yeah.
That was why they made it.
Get a little bit closer, my darling. And then it escapes, eats a few people quite brutally. I mean, for me, this is by far probably the most brutal in terms of like the eatage.
It goes for people. I think it's just 15.
Up, doesn't it?
15 this film?
No, it was only a 12.
Was it?
Yeah.
12's gone down, man.
It's so violent now.
It's so violent.
But that's why I was so confused, because I watched Suicide Squad, and this is probably more violent than that in terms of. I don't know if it's because it's human or science.
Do you actually see people
meta-human violence
get crushed, or is it just people get taken and blood gets splattered up against the wall? Because that's different.
What in?
Do you see claws go through people?
You actually see people get eaten. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, and then after it escapes, they send out their. This is when they think they're still in control. So they send out that unit. I don't know, dinosaur capturing team, and Chris Pratt's like, "You got to get your people out there. They're going to die." And then it gives an opportunity for a load more of them to get eaten, because they find the tracker, but it's actually clawed it out, and it's like behind them.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's quite funny because they're like going at it with like these sticks that are electrified. They seem really like.
Yeah.
unprepared and like badly armed.
They have
to
no
take
idea
down
what they're
this
going up
massive
against.
dinosaur, and one of them just shoots this net on its mouth, and it just opens its mouth. It's like, what were they hoping to do?
What annoyed me about that scene was they're walking through, and then all of a sudden a drop of blood lands on a leaf next to one of the soldiers, and then he looks up and there's this fuck off massive dinosaur directly above him. How did they miss it? It must have just been standing still above him.
It can slightly camouflage though. That's the point.
It's a massive dinosaur. It's huge.
But if it's camouflage, you can't see it.
But it was, that scene there was just like
camouflage defeats all, and they're just all getting flung around in that, and that's when things start to go bad.
Why that happened is the two kids are in that little cool sphere thing.
I think they're just about to get in that sphere.
No, they're in it. They're in it when they get attacked down it, and they're it's like a massive zorb.
That seems like a really bad idea though, because it's not on tracks or anything. So couldn't people just get lost anywhere?
No, because it's like they're in the kind of safe herbivore zone, where they can't leave the zone, but they're just going among the animals that won't attack them, kind of thing.
But like a big like stompy dinosaur could probably still like crush that thing. It still doesn't seem like the greatest idea. Yeah. What's also quite funny on that, just jumping in on this, as they're about to get in their Zorb or whatever it is, they're like the last people to get in one, and there's like this really like spotty, mongy looking,
park attendant,
classic park attendant, and he's just like, he says, "Oh no, the ride's closed." Everyone's shouting at him. He's just like, "Oh come on, this is just my job, man." That's just so funny. This film is pretty. It's got a lot of funny moments in it. It's probably the funniest of the series, to be honest.
It's so after that, the two kids escape into the old Jurassic Park place, and they find like all the old stuff and the old jeeps.
But they do get attacked by the.
They get attacked by the Indominus Rex. Yeah, it attacks their sphere
because they get knocked into this like area, wouldn't it? When it's two of those dinosaurs, I can't remember what they're called, but the ones with the really thick hides and the big club tails, and they sort of get smashed around a bit. And the Indominus basically just turns one over and fucking carves it open, which is quite brutal.
Yeah,
they're just trying to eat them, and it's smashing the orb. And literally, they fall out the bottom of it, and it smashes them again, and they quickly run away. And they perfectly time their jump off of this like waterfall, and then they have to stay under the water because it's ready to eat them, and then it runs off. They find a car. They reminisce about the time they fixed someone else's car, and magically they're mechanics.
Yeah, they fixed the car. That was a bit far fetched. And while that's happening, the Navy guy and the park owner, the aunt, are looking for them. And she is amazing in this film because she had massive high heels on and she just runs everywhere in them.
She gone running,
at speed as well. Like, it's impressive watching her running.
What's Chris Pratt's character called again? Is he like one of those? He's one of those one name characters. Owen Brady or something.
Owen Gray, I think.
Owen Grady.
Grady. Yeah, Grady. There you go.
Yeah. And so they're coming after the kids, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then they get attacked by the dinosaur again.
So they save the kids from the old Jurassic Park. Which is cool. I like that scene when they're going through all the stuff and they're running their hands over like the old artwork. Is there a skeleton
in there, or is it all broken?
I think the skeleton was in there. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, they find an old Jeep, and then Chris Pratt and the female character find them and they drive back, don't they?
Yeah, they drive back to at this point the Indominus has just gone and started killing everything, so and it's making its way back to the main area. So that's when what's happened in the meanwhile is the owner dude. As they've located it and they're trying to shoot it with a big gun on a helicopter. Mm-hmm. And then what happens? Is he just shit at flying or something?
No, the Indominus breaks open a bird cage and a load of flying dinosaurs go into the helicopter.
Yeah, that's what happens. And then they make him crash, so he dies. And then obviously the pterodactyls and all those crazy shits just start fucking attacking the theme park, eating people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's that. I don't forget that scene.
How good's the scene where
carrying people away, aren't they?
How's it good's that scene where it picks up? The woman is supposed to be looking after the kids. And then it falls in the water of the like Lyperidon tank or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just floating, and then it's about to get away, and then the Lyperidon comes and just eats her while she's in the pterodactyl's mouth. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
I love that bit. Yeah, that bit's cool when they're getting all attacked by and it's like how long do they leave it to let the visitors leave?
Yeah,
and I think most of them get attacked.
I mean,
but then after that, the
military get together, and I do think they shoot most of them down because they start like
they're involved. And then they command Chris Pratt's character to take the raptors to hunt
the Indominus Rex,
which doesn't make sense.
It doesn't really, does it?
Because there's 4 raptors and one thing that's bigger than a T-Rex. What?
Yeah, that didn't make a lot of sense, really, did it?
No. And then so he doesn't want to do that, but then he does.
Because they're like, we're going to do this with or without you.
Yeah.
That classic line.
And then it turns out that the Indominus Rex has Velociraptor DNA in it.
And just, it's got raptor. It's
And-
raptor.
And they talk for a minute. There's this talking scene between the dinosaurs.
And I think the Indominus was probably like, hey guys, instead of eating me, do you want to eat them? And the dude's like, well, I don't know. He has traders, but then again, I think they might be easier to eat. And then the Indominus is like, yeah, you do that, yeah.
He's
And
up.
then
He's
the
like
raptors
alpha.
are like, okay.
But yeah, and then Chris Pratt's like, now he's their alpha because he's a Velociraptor and he's bigger than me. So they go with the Indominus Rex, and now you got the Indominus Rex and 4 Velociraptors. Just
And people start getting eaten, and then the raptors are chasing everybody. But then at some point, they look at Chris Pratt again, and they decide to change their minds, don't they?
yeah.
They sort of are chasing after them when they're going after the Indominus in the main area, and then they start attacking the Indominus Rex, and a couple of them get fucked up.
There's a scene where Chris Pratt reestablishes his alpha status with the raptors.
This is just after Vincent D'Onofrio gets eaten by one of them.
Yeah,
and he gets
so
his
they go-
desserts
they
and
go into
classic
the lab.
Frankenstein monster.
They go into the lab where InGen are just packing away all the embryos. They're like, we're going to go start a new island
More dinosaurs.
with more dinosaurs. And yeah, the doctor, Vincent D'Onofrio, was it?
I can't remember
What's
his name.
the
His
Chinese
name's-
doctor's name?
Oh no, that was Wu. But D'Onofrio was.
He's-
I think his name was like
Wiggins
Wiggins or something. I don't know.
Yeah. He's just like, we're gonna create miniature versions of the Indominus and weaponize them and militarize them, and that's the only bugbear with this film. It's the military. The military are bad. The military are going to create weapons out of the dinosaurs. We can't let them do that. But then the Velociraptor attacks, and Chris Pratt re-establishes himself as Alpha. And then the ending of the film is the showdown in the main area that's empty of all tourists now. So it's like a high street in Disneyland.
It's Battle Royale.
And the Indominus shows up. Chris Pratt's 4 Velociraptors go to attack it. And then the aunt of the kids lets loose the
We'll
T-Rex.
call her Blanche for now.
So
We've forgotten her character's name.
She opens the T-Rex. She's like, I know what can do it. I know what can do it.
And she paces it, didn't she? She absolutely paces it back.
Yeah, she opens the T-Rex gate, and the T-Rex just doesn't eat her, does it? It walks past her.
She's running.
I've got a funny
and then
feeling
she
that
runs it back to where the Indominus is, and then they
she's
just
got a
decide
flare,
that they
hasn't
need
she?
to fight.
She's like flying this flare to get it back. And yeah, the Indominus goes for the... No, so the T-Rex attacks the Indominus, and there's a pretty cool fight scene.
It's a bit of a to and a fro in. Initially, the T-Rex has the upper hand, and it does get to a point where you think the Indominus is going to kill the T-Rex.
Doesn't one of the raptors...
Then one of the raptors jumps on Blue,
Yes.
I believe.
Yep.
Or it might be called Clive. I'm not sure.
Yep.
He assists, even though he's tiny and would just get eaten.
So he goes for the neck, doesn't he, of the Indominus, and then the T-Rex pushes him into the tank with the massive...
No, it just pushes him to the edge, and it sort of crumples onto the fence. And then when it's about to get up, it just gets aquatic dinosaur.
Yes.
Dragged
What's
into
that
the
called?
water.
Lypuridon or something? Lypuridon?
Lypuridon.
That's cool. I like that bit.
I think that was a...
Because I think if you showed the T-Rex overpowering this
It would sort of
ultimate
undermine
creature,
everything.
it would
wouldn't
have undermined it, yeah. And then the T-Rex just sort of
The
goes-
T-Rex runs off, and so does the raptor.
Yeah,
The raptor
it's
just looks
just-
at him and just runs off. It's like, people are probably going to be back to kill you at some point. You can
It's
run off
like,
for
there's
now.
people over there. You should attack them. You remember your dinosaurs? No, we're just gonna run away.
And then the film pretty much just ends with everyone just being shown who is still alive.
They're on a boat, aren't they? They're on a boat or they're in an aircraft hangar, yeah. And they're just like Chris Pratt's character and the aunt are kissing, or they kiss.
They
and
finally they make their circle, and enemies become friends, and
It's-
friends become enemies, and love is formed.
yeah,
But I enjoyed it.
I
I would
enjoyed
watch
it.
it. It's a sort of film that I could imagine watching every couple of years.
yeah. I could watch it again. I could watch it again right now.
I don't want to watch it right now. I would like to go to bed, but no, I know what you mean there. It's a good film. I mean, do you want to do a quick little rank your...
So just because we've done it for the rest of them, what was like your favourite scenes from this film?
I don't know, we sort of talked through the scenes that have gone, but...
I got to admit, now I'm talking about it, there's no really scary scene in this film, is there?
not so much scary.
There's a lot of suspense.
There's
from-
tension.
Tension and suspense.
You
but
always
there's no,
sort of can see what's coming, if you know what I
yeah,
mean.
there's
no
yeah.
like a moment of like mystery, like the water with the T-Rex in the
Mm.
first film, or in the third film where you had the pterodactyls, and it's all very much like it's there, sort of. Like
the reveal of the Indominus is good.
it's good, but it's just there's no real build up to it, is it? You see it almost as soon as it's
Yeah.
a lot of films these days won't do the Jaws, because I know it's hard to do because it requires a bit more skill to maintain that suspense.
Yeah.
But just not showing a monster until like the last 5 minutes.
But
Obviously, if you've got that much budget, you want to show it off and you want to show it eating people and stuff. So, and it works for this film, I think.
I like the technology in this film.
A lot,
like the world that they're in terms of the technological advancement they have. So they have like a 3D models of velociraptors on their iPads, and they go on that gyroscopic ball thing. They go driving in. That looks well cool. It looks so cool.
It definitely looks good. I like another bit as well when they're when you're first introduced to the Lipeurodon and it's being fed, and they feed it to the shark. But then when like the seats they're in sort of like go down. I can imagine that would be like something awesome. I mean, I don't agree with SeaWorld, and locking up whales is really bad.
It's like,
but if you were going to do like an aquarium sort of thing with like something amazing and massive like that would be a great idea to have like the whole arena sort of come in, so you could see it underwater.
And that's another thing that's good about this film, that it just makes it look like another theme park. It makes it look like there's nothing special about this theme park. Everyone's got used to dinosaurs in this world now, and it's exactly the same as a WoW show. They've got the finale of making the mega dinosaur jump up to get some bait and splash the crowd.
Yeah,
and they go mad and they clap it and they laugh, and it's just
I mean, that's the thing. I think there's a lot of like self-referential humour and satire, and that's one of the I think is probably the best things about this film. There's just lots of little subtle nips and stuff, even like taking the piece out of the name of the dinosaur, like Chris Pratt says, Indominus Rex, he couldn't have named it something better. And she's like, people struggle to say Rex, and that's quite a funny way of just doing it, and very much the emphasis. It's like I know I'm getting a bit like, I don't know, waffy or whatever about it, but like it's talking about like the state of cinema in general and just society, that everything needs to be bigger and better. And revisited, because there's a lot of reference.
They think all their problems can be solved just by making something bigger.
It's very much like a critique of just marking on a whole. I'm not giving this film like an uber like fucking analysis or whatever, but it's quite obviously there, and it's just good. I think it's well done.
What's bugbears? Anything bad about this one film in particular, and then we'll go on to ranks.
Bugbears. The kids are okay. The teenage kids are a bit like too over the top, a bit too Twilight. Like all I care about.
Yes. Yeah.
Girls. My little brother's like a bit of a geek, so I find him embarrassing. It felt a bit forced. He wasn't bad at it, but it was all right. Anything else? Bugbears. I must admit, the whole training Velociraptors and Vincent D'Onofrio's character is just like such a caricature.
Yeah.
Like when all this stuff's going wrong, it's just thinking, I'm gonna train the raptors, and even when they're like about to eat me.
Yes.
They're obviously shown that they can't be trusted. He's like, we could still use the raptors. Like, just I thought that's what fucking drones were for, you knobhead.
I liked. My worst bit was just the classic military are going to weaponize a dinosaur role. I didn't really like that. That's just a normal another.
Other than that, I mean, I think
it's a good film.
Everybody's good in it.
Stands up.
Performance is really
okay. Where would you rank it? And how would you rank the others?
Well, I'll go from for me number 4. We'll go from 4 being the worst and 1 being the best, so people are clear. Number 4 would be Jurassic Park 3.
Yep.
Number 3 would be The Lost World Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 would be Jurassic World, and number 1 would be Jurassic Park. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, and I disagree, because I've already said I disagree. I think Jurassic Park 3 and The Lost World are very similar quality film.
Are you going for joint third?
I'd go joint third, but if I had to rank them, I'd put Jurassic Park 3 as third, just because of what it tried to do. I think what it tried to do was essentially what number 4, Jurassic World, kind of achieved.
I agree.
It brought so much new stuff to the table. It tried bringing new stuff to the table anyway, and it didn't. But at least it tried.
Yeah, and
whereas
it wasn't
I
a terrible
feel like
film
The
either.
Lost World was just quite samey.
Oh, that's fair enough. I mean, but I think we've got to emphasise the point that none of these films are particularly bad. They're all bad. None of these films are particularly bad. They're all fairly good, and we would watch them again.
Would you watch another one?
Another one? I think haven't they announced one? Is it 2018,
they made
2017?
$1.7 billion on this one. Yeah, they will make another one.
A sequel to Jurassic World.
Yep.
So with Chris Pratt and
Maybe Chris Pratt. Nothing's been announced for it, but I'm just.
I'm going to watch it. I'm a sucker for these films.
Do you think that Jurassic World has rescued the franchise?
I don't think it's a matter of thinking. I think it obviously has. It's made a fucking fuck ton of money.
I mean, but just because something makes money doesn't mean it's rescued the franchise.
but it's also got good reviews. You say that, but if you look at something like, I know it didn't make particularly good money, but you look at something like Ghostbusters, which they remade with the idea of making quite a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did it not make a lot of money, I think possibly
they had a loss. I think
it made a loss. It also didn't get good reviews. So that's, if anything, I think that's pretty much killed off the idea of rebooting that ever again. So this could have gone wrong. I mean,
if this would have gone wrong, this would have been the last Jurassic Park film we'd have seen for a while.
For at least 6 months. Until they got someone else. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's just, I love the whole thing. I mean, dinosaurs are cool as fuck, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
And their shenanigans.
And this is the film that made it cool as fuck.
We thank you, Stevie and
Thank
Michael.
you, Steven Spielberg.
For taking what was actually quite a dark novel, the first one, and make it into a family-friendly classic. One of the best films ever. I think.
Jurassic Park, the first one, is one of the best films ever. And any film they make after it will never emulate how good it was. It still holds up. You can still buy it on Blu-ray now and watch it, and it still holds up. You can show it to kids, and they'd probably still love it. But the films after it, not so much. I think Jurassic World has brought Jurassic Park back to new younger fans.
Yes.
So fans that are young now, fans that are in their mid-teens, whatever, they'll watch Jurassic World and enjoy that, and they'll probably watch the ones after it. But it still just doesn't hold up to Jurassic Park. And I don't think anything they do will, because it just doesn't capture the magic of that film.
The magic.
The magic of the film.
But yeah, it's all fucking good. Are you happy with that? I mean, an hour and 20 minutes later,
yeah,
done this
hell.
shit, mate.
We went on.
We've absolutely smashed it.
If anyone's actually listening to this, they're brave.
Or they've fallen asleep, or they've died.
If you have died while listening to this,
cool.
And your family members are wondering how you died and then listening to us, you can tweet us
at you killed my son or daughter.com.
I'm at Joe Gids on Twitter, JoeGidds. I will spell it this week.
And I'm at Captain Beard. Thanks for listening, folks, and tune in next week for I don't know what. Peace out.
We'll do The Martian.
We'll do The Martian.
We'll do The Martian. We'll do The Martian next time.
You make that sound like a dance. We'll do The Martian.
We'll do The Martian.
Boom.
He builds potatoes on Mars.